4 years ago, I made a video on YouTube that got 31 views only, and that video was about social media. I explained throughout the entire video that I love social media, what all the benefits from it, how it connects me to my friends, how it connects me to my family, how it connects me to everyone. However, 4 years later, and we need to remember that during that time, I think it was just right during COVID or right after COVID, 4 years later, so today, my opinions have totally changed. And that's not necessarily the first time that happens, but I don't think it's the first time it happens to that degree, and to a degree where I'm also a little bit confused about how I actually feel about it. All the benefits still exist, but it seems like as I'm growing up and as my friends and family are also growing up and they're starting to have different habits and I'm starting to have different habits, the impact that social media is having is a little bit too much to go unnoticed. And with Australia now being the first country to ever ban under 16-year-olds from being able to access social media, which still didn't take effect. I think it takes effect in a few weeks, and I'm very interested to see how that goes. I'll make another video about this. But it seems like I'm also obviously not the first or last person to think that. But I think what's so interesting is that I actually think even for adults, there's a lot of negative effects of social media that people are not noticing, and maybe people who are watching this video might not also be watching it. I think the biggest impact for me, at least, wouldn't be that I come across, which I do, but wouldn't be that I come across videos or posts or views that might have content that might not actually be legal, especially on platforms like Twitter, for example. It's not even that on TikTok, for example, it can shorten your attention span. It's not that some of the information can be inaccurate, because I feel like with all the things, you can actually take measures that you can prevent. Like you can block specific pages, you can only focus on viewing specific videos, and that way the algorithm learns. And it really does. If you're someone who's always complaining that you're being shown explicit content on your social media, at the beginning you might not like it, but unless you actually watch that video, or unless you like it, or unless you hover over it for even just 3 seconds, it most likely will not show up again. So these are not the things that I'm complaining about, at least for adults. Kids might not have the judgment of avoiding these at some point, but now as an adult, I'm 25 years old, I do have that judgment, and so these are not the things I'm complaining about, because I've managed to avoid it, and I know how to avoid it or filter it to tailor exactly what I need. The part that I am actually struggling with, and I think a lot of people might be struggling with too, is actually with friends and family. It's not about anything else. It's not about the content, it's not about the advertisements, it's not about any misinformation, it's not anything like that. I think a big part that I'm struggling with, and I think a lot of people are also struggling with, is how to manage conversations, chats, expectations with other people on social media. And maybe not necessarily just social media, but messaging apps as well, like instant messaging apps like iMessage, WhatsApp, Messenger, whatever it is. And I'm starting to struggle with that. So 4 years ago, I mentioned that this was exactly why I like social media. And I said that it really does help me connect with people. I love it. I would have never been able to stay in touch with my close family and friends across the globe, and even friends here in Australia. But now that same thing that I used to think was the biggest positive aspect of social media has actually ended up being one of the biggest negative aspects for me. Now, again, let's just quickly recap. When I made that video, it was during COVID. The only way to communicate was using social media, or was using instant messages. Now, that's not the case. And now, as I'm growing up, I have a lot of commitments. All my family and friends have a lot of commitments, because they were roughly the same age of the people that I'm interacting with. And it is starting to be very difficult to actually judge whether, or expect people to either respond, and for me to also respond. So I personally am someone that doesn't reply quickly. I'm someone that might not interact as quick as I should, or reply as quick as I should. But in my mind, I still feel like I do reply properly. And when that started happening to me with other friends and other family in general, I was also a little bit taken back by it. Now, for some reason, if I message someone today, I'm expecting them to reply today. Even though sometimes it takes me forever to actually reply, but I would expect them to reply. Also, with TikTok and all this stuff accessible to me, I send a lot of my friends TikToks, I send them a lot of reels, I send them a lot of videos, and I, to some degree, expect them to like it. But I think sometimes I forget that this is all stuff that I like. And it's starting to cause an issue, because you end up feeling a little bit lonely because you're trying to interact with all those people using so many different platforms, and sometimes you might not get an interaction that you want, forgetting that other people might not actually want to be interacting that way. It has nothing to do with friends, it has nothing to do with who likes you or not, and you're not meeting in real life. So how my brain sees it, it's as if I go approach a friend that I haven't seen for a while, or a friend that I see a while in real life, I say hello and they don't say hello back. That is how my brain processes someone not interacting with me on social media, for example. But I know and I'm aware that that's not the case, but it is how my brain feels regardless. And it is something that I think I should personally work on, but I also see it as a problem that a lot of people might have as well. Being able to differentiate between real life interactions or interacting with someone or sending them happy news or sad news and them reacting in a different way to what you'd expect in real life and then getting upset about it is an issue that I think a lot of people are actually having. I'm definitely having. I know very close people to me are having, and they're having it with a lot of close friends to them as well. And I think the issue is that when you're meeting in real life, you've already allocated time and brain power and space to that you're about to interact. So whoever you're meeting or whichever friend I'm going out with, they've allocated a time, I've allocated a time, we're both going with the vibe that we're going to talk, we're going to communicate, we're going to chat about anything and everything. And whether it's bad news or good news, they're usually very active, they're very happy to respond, they're very happy to give you valuable time, basically, because we agreed that we're going to give each other valuable time at that time when we're going out. Now, communicating on the internet, and I'm just going to say internet to cross all these other examples that are sort of apps, that is not the case. When I'm messaging someone, we have not agreed that that person and I are going to give each other valuable time. We haven't agreed that this is a suitable time. We haven't agreed that we both have the energy to do that. And if we think about it, sometimes you might see your friends every week, sometimes you might see them every month. If interaction was only in real life and you only interacted once a month, that is fine. You'll be fine with that. But because we have this expectation that, hey, I'm now demanding you to give me your valuable time, or you give me your focus, or give me that and this at any time throughout the day, and whether that comes through a dumb meme that you send or a reel or a TikTok, without being aware what the other person is actually doing or going through or thinking about, is a big deal. And the reason I'm making this video is because I think in order to move forward in an environment where most of our communication now has actually transmitted from being in real life to being in social media or being digital, that is something that we need to work on. It's something that we need to be aware of, that the person you're interacting with might not actually want to talk with you now. They might not have the power to do that. It doesn't mean they're busy. It doesn't mean they're not focused. It doesn't mean anything. It's just simply they might not want to do it. And so it is something that I think is becoming a negative aspect. And as people become more adults and they have more responsibility and their time becomes more valuable, it becomes harder to interact. And so all of a sudden, I'm going from all my friends when we were during uni or school and everything, our time did not need to be differentiated. We can interact anytime in real life and also digitally, and it's fine because we have nothing else to do. Now I get back from work at 7. My time is very valuable. I have like 3 hours left until I need to sleep, game, eat, watch something, talk to my wife, do stuff at home. And so when someone interacts with me, I'm unable to reply to them. I might have a whole hour in the middle to do something, but there might be something else that I might do. Now, I think the problem comes is when you reach out to someone and you say, hey, I have something that I want to talk to you about, or I have a problem, or I have an issue, and they still don't reply. And for some reason, we would like to act as if when you send that, they should pause everything and just focus on that, or they should pause everything and just give you their valuable time to you. But that might not be the case. People have 100 or 10 or 20 friends. If each friend messages and says, hey, I have an issue, or hey, I have good news, or hey, I have that, you might not even get the time to do that. Now, this is something that I am actually still conflicted about, because I would like to have my friends be able to accommodate for that, but I'm unable to accommodate for that myself. I find it very difficult to do so. And it's something that as social media is starting to grow and most of our interactions are becoming digital, is going to be much more difficult to manage. And so I thought I'd make this video because 4 years ago, during the time where everything was digital, it seemed like it was the best thing ever. But now I actually really do think that it is becoming a very negative thing, and it's something that it's not necessarily due to social media, but it's due to how people perceive their time and to what people perceive is valuable to them and how to manage. This was it. This was a small rant. No one's probably going to watch this video, just how they didn't watch the previous video, but I thought I'd make it anyways. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next episode.